charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously.
That was Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray discussing the charges that have been filed against the suspected shooter in the Charlie Kirk case. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Here in just a bit, we're going to go over what happened during Robinson's court appearance. And later, a new airline incident was seen at the Boston Logan International Airport recently as a Swiss International Airlines jet was seen shooting smoke and flames during an attempted takeoff.
And this morning, we're taking a live look at a Butte where we are looking at some areas of low visibility in the surrounding area. Of course, we're going to take a closer look at some of those details here in just a bit.
Wake up, you gotta rise to the sun, and here it comes, it's time to make the best of what you got to give. It's all about rising, and I wanna be there.
Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful start to this Wednesday morning alongside Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith. My name is John Martin. That was Butte, right?
Right.
Okay. You can barely tell from MES high
right.
above looking at the city, blah, blah, blah. But the amount of areas that are being socked in this morning by either fog or clouds, the visibility is a key word this morning.
Absolutely. We've been looking at a little bit more fog kind of settling into our valleys. Yesterday it was more in areas of high elevation, and today it's kind of sinking into the valley. So we want to make sure that you're giving yourself a little extra time as you're headed out the door this morning. Here's a closer look at what we're seeing on your visibility map. We have been looking at the visibility out of the Butte area, kind of going back and forth between at least 1 to 6 miles of visibility. And right now we're kind of sitting at that 2 mile of visibility. So a little bit of impact there. And in Bozeman, visibility is now dropping down to 1 mile. And you can definitely see some of that yellow kind of spilling over into the Bozeman Pass location. Lots of areas of high elevation being impacted by visibility this morning. So once again, mountain passes, give yourself a little extra time. When it comes to your temperatures this morning, we are looking at more of those upper 30s out of the Butte area, surrounding areas in western Montana into the 40s, and you're seeing a couple of more 50s there out of eastern locations from Glasgow, Glendive, Miles City, and Broad is 30 degrees currently at a Yellowstone National Park. As far as what we're tracking on the satellite and radar, we are looking at mostly clear skies across western and northern Montana. Most of our heavy cloud cover expanding from Bozeman all the way into the southeastern corner of the state with a couple of light pockets of sprinkles between Billings and Broadus. Now overall, throughout the afternoon, evening hours, we do have an opportunity to see just your general showers and thunderstorms there developing out of the eastern plains. And of course, coming up in your full weather forecast, we're going to track some of those showers for you while western Montana is looking at that ridge of high pressure, keeping everything a little on the sunny and dry side throughout the day.
Tracy Smith, thank you very much. In continuing coverage this morning, we look to Utah where Tyler Robinson, the suspect charged in the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, appeared virtually in a Provo, Utah courtroom Tuesday afternoon. Robinson made his initial appearance from jail in front of a district court judge who read through the multiple charges against him. The judge informed Robinson that he could face the death penalty. Robinson, who appeared to be wearing a protective vest, spoke only when asked to state his name. Robinson has yet to be appointed an attorney. His next hearing is scheduled for September the 29th. Now, there has been an immense amount of online discussion regarding Charlie Kirk following his assassination. Some of it has even caught the attention of Montana officials. Recently, Governor Greg Gianforte commented on some of the more divisive aspects of this discourse, saying, quote, "It's disgusting to see people using their freedom of speech to celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder on social media and further divide our country. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of Montana and our Constitution, including the freedom of speech, regardless of how vile it is. In fact, I signed a law in 2023 that prohibits the termination of employees for their social media posts. Now is a time to heal as a nation, not divide." Now, Alex McCollum read the text of the bill that Governor Gianforte mentioned and now brings us a look at the specifics of the policy.
The law puts restrictions on how employers can access an employee's personal social media accounts in the name of protecting employee free speech. Now, it does set up guidelines on when and how an employer can request access and what rights an employee has. The law says employers cannot request usernames or passwords from employees for personal accounts. They can't request an employee to access their social media in their presence, and they can't ask an employee to share information from their personal accounts. However, employers can request access when it's part of an employee misconduct or defamation investigation, they believe an employee is sharing confidential company information, or if it's part of a larger legal investigation. Now, an employer cannot discipline or fire an employee for not complying with a request that doesn't meet those guidelines. They also cannot be fired or disciplined for legal free speech on social media unless that speech violates written company policy or the employee's contract. I spoke with Lee Banville, director of the Journalism School, to learn more when it comes to social media laws and what you should and shouldn't post online. He says you should remember whether you're writing something on a public page or in a direct message, it's considered public.
I think people misunderstand that. They think, oh, well, I did this on Snapchat and it's supposed to disappear, or, this was a DM on Instagram and so people won't see it. That's just not legally true. Like, people the law doesn't see it as a private statement. It sees it as you putting a message out to the world in a way.
Banville says right now his growing concern is people not speaking about current events when that speech is thoughtful and protected. Now, it's worth noting this law only applies for personal social media accounts, not for accounts made for the company. The law also says employees can take legal action to protect their accounts when an employer requests access. Reporting in Bozeman, I'm Alex McCollum, NonStop Local.
Alex, thank you very much for that. Looking beyond the big sky, the United Airlines CEO says that Newark Liberty International Airport is, quote, operating better than ever. The turnaround comes after air traffic control problems and construction led to thousands of canceled flights earlier this year. However, United says on-time performance will only get better thanks to the FAA and DOT increasing staffing and improving technology. The airline continued, stating 6 million people flew on time through Newark this summer, which is the most in the airline's history. The company is planning to add additional flights out of Newark to 6 international destinations and 5 domestic ones, as well as hiring 2,500 more staff based at the airport. Perhaps a bit ironically, while United Airlines says they're seeing success as of late, a Swiss International Airlines jet was seen spewing smoke and flames as it started to take off at Boston Logan International Airport Tuesday evening. Video captured the fiery burst coming from the back of the plane, while air traffic control reported seeing black smoke. The FAA says the Airbus A330 bound for Zurich aborted takeoff due to the engine trouble. Some arrivals were briefly paused while fire crews rushed to the runway. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. The Montana Department of Corrections is taking steps to expand their facility capacity in the state. Right now, they're looking at plans to build a new women's prison. Elena Margot tells us more about how Montana communities can help them decide which direction they should head in.
In the 2025 legislative session, House Bill 833 was signed into law. Now, this established the Future of Corrections Fund with a $246 million increase in funding for correctional capacity. Now the DOC has issued a Request for Information, or RFI, to get a gauge on land availability, infrastructure, services, and workforce for a new women's correctional facility in the state. They're encouraging Montana communities to not only answer those questions, but let lawmakers know how interested a potential site's community would be in supporting the project. According to the Department of Corrections, communities interested in being home to the new facility have until October 1st to respond to this RFI. Our team asked the DOC what their goal capacity is for women in our state, and Deputy Director Eric Strauss told us that 400 is their goal, including this expansion. Right now, there is a capacity of 300 in Montana with 8 vacant beds in the entire state. Strauss also told our team that this, quote, allows the department the means and flexibility to better serve our expanding prison population and make general changes, end quote. And with further updates on the location of this new women's correctional facility, we'll keep you up to date right here on NonStop Local. Reporting in studio with NonStop Local, I'm Elena Margot.
Elena Margot, thank you very much. The Great Falls Development Alliance is setting its sights on the next 3 years with a plan to grow jobs, housing, and opportunities throughout north central Montana. Joey Taylor shows us how the 2026 to 28 strategy zeroes in on people, places, opportunities, and teamwork.
The plan sets some big goals: close the gap between wages and the cost of living, diversify the economy, and make the region more attractive for both residents and businesses. Under the people category, housing, workforce training, and childcare top the list. GFDA wants to see more homes built at every price point and more childcare options to help parents stay in the workforce. For place, that means investing in downtown revitalization, riverfront development, industrial sites, and infrastructure like broadband, roads, and utilities. Opportunities are all about business. GFDA is targeting industries like food processing, bioscience, energy, defense, and tourism, while also supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses. And finally, the team focus: raising more capital, strengthening partnerships with rural and tribal communities, and keeping investors and the public engaged. Some of the momentum is already here. Projects like a new hyperscale data center, a mixed-use development called The Falls, and expansions at Montana Renewables are setting the stage. In Great Falls, I'm Joey Taylor, NonStop Local.
Joey Taylor, thank you very much. 6:41 is your time, everybody. On the other side of this break, we're going to hear from Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith. And don't look now, we are less than 100 days to Christmas. We'll talk about that. Stick around.